Durgadutt, today you had a tie-up with GreenLine. What is the agenda behind deploying driver eye system in logistics? We have been doing it in several fleet operators. Give us a snapshot of it.
Sure. Let me give you a brief of the technology first, right? The technology is probably the most cutting edge that you will find in the industry. So we have analytics algorithms which actually drive artificial intelligence based machine learning, where based on camera sensors, the device recognizes infractions which are potentially going to happen on the road, right? For example, our device has an external camera which looks outside the vehicle and an internal camera which looks at the driver, right? So in real time, the external camera, for example, will recognize that your vehicle is driving too close to the vehicle in front of you, right? It will alert the driver real time in the cabin so that he takes corrective action. In case the behavior continues, right, a minute-long video of that incident then gets transmitted through the cloud to a potential safety manager or a fleet manager who can then take level 2 corrective action. Similarly, for inward looking towards the driver, right, we look at whether he's distracted, talking on the phone, yawning, fatigued, etc. And all of these then translate to alerts, which then enable the driver to take corrective action, which therefore improves safety, reduces accidents, and so on. Right? So at the end of the day, we use technologies like embedded processing, IoT, AI, ML, hybrid cloud. You name the cutting edge technology, it is all used in the solution that we offer to our customers. The entire R&D is done in India, in Bangalore. The device is manufactured with our manufacturing partners in Gurgaon. And we are proud of the fact that we then export it globally for
global use. Touched upon the R&D and the local assembly and manufacturing in India, from Bangalore. How much are you ready in terms of deploying it? Like how much you do per month in terms of capacity and localization content?
So, firstly, localization, apart from components which we have to necessarily import, like silicon and chips and all of that. Otherwise, the entire technology is made in India. Okay, it's the entire software is written in India. The entire design of the product is is done out of India. The manufacture is done out of India. In terms of volumes, we already have 250 plus thousand vehicles deployed with our technology, with driver eye technology. So we are not new anymore. We are on the third generation of our product, effectively, right? And of course, adoption in India has been slightly slower, but adoption in countries like the US has been tremendous. We've got now close to 3,000 customers globally, and as I said, about 250,000 plus vehicles with driver eye deployed.
And in India, you have been deploying this driver eye based, the technology, the flagship product. Are there any other product apart from this that you've also been deploying in fleets?
Look, our product itself is branded as driver eye. Within driver eye, we have different variants, right? For example, the most popularly used variant is a 2-camera device, right? Where the device itself has 2 cameras, one facing outward, one facing inward. We have another variant which is a 4-camera device. So the device itself has 4 cameras, so one facing outward, one facing inward, and then 2 facing on the sides. In addition, as you heard from GreenLine, we have the ability to deploy up to 4 or 5 additional cameras outside of the device itself, which provides a 360 view of surround view of the vehicle for better safety and better exoneration and so on and so forth.
So you mentioned about the camera-based, the solution that
yes.
you offer. With respect to the research and technological edge that you get, is this making India derive the technology, or you have some technological tie-up abroad? Because a lot of companies in Britain, in Europe, have been offering these services?
So no. So our entire technology is in-house. We have data scientists. We actually have people who write algorithms within our company, and largely, and just to explain this to you, largely our engineering is divided into three portions, right? One is the engineering which creates the device itself, right? Which in itself is the hardware device, which in itself is complex because you need cameras, you need very high processing power. The form factor has to be small because you don't want to block the windshield, and it has to store video. So we store a minimum of 100 hours of video on the device itself, right? So we have a device engineering team. We then have an analytics engineering team, which is all about the algorithms, which is about increasing precision, which is about teaching the device new things, right? For example, just recently in the US, we've launched environmental alerts, which means that when there's heavy rain or when there's heavy fog, right, you will get an alert. So things like this, we're continuously innovating on. All that is done by the analytics engineering. And then finally, we have the cloud team, which provides the ultimate, end user experience in terms of a portal, in terms of videos coming on time, in terms of resolution of videos, in terms of, everything that the user needs to experience comes from the cloud team, right? So we have three distinct engineering teams, all of them in-house, who do this, and then put it all together as a single solution.
So, given the parameter and the landscape that you have operating in India, what are your medium to near-term goals in terms of further deploying these technologies in the fleets? And also, one man asked about OE types.
Yes.
So are you looking at OE types as well?
Absolutely are, because as I explained, the algorithms and the technology are the same, right? Which every OEM wants. So we are talking to OEMs. Some of them more advanced, like GreenLine. Some of them a little, have a couple of more steps to go. But there is definitely a lot of interest in OEMs. From a use case perspective specific to India, right, we see a number of use cases. Obviously, commercial fleets is the biggest, deployment, and we're seeing large fleets, whether they're oil and gas carriers, whether they are steel carriers, whether they are FMCG carriers, all of them are adopting technology like ours. The other big use case in India is actually employee transport. Staff transportation, especially where you have female staff, when you have staff which is working at nighttime hours, right? So safety of employees is becoming big, right? So one of the largest FMCG companies in India have deployed our technology in all their vehicles at their three manufacturing units to transport employees back and forth from factories to their homes, right? So that is one big use case which is becoming apparent. The third is, school buses, right? Children's safety is big, and we're in the US. We've deployed in the two largest school bus networks. We're in talks with some of the big ones in India as well to deploy those. So there are a number of use cases. Landscape is huge. Then, of course, you have things like rental car companies. All of these are big use cases, but we're taking it one step at a time.
Which are the regions or markets you are strong in, not just in India but abroad?
So we have been very careful not to spread ourselves too thin, right? So we initially launched in the US and in India because we felt that if we can cater to US driving conditions and India driving conditions, then anything in between would be quite easy to do. 2 years ago, we actually began our global expansion. So today we are present, apart from US and in India, we're present in Canada, in Mexico, in ANZ, in the UK, in Germany, in the Netherlands, and we intend to expand further slowly. And the reason why we are slow in doing this is because every region has its own road characteristics, right? And when you enter a new region, you want to ensure that the experience that the customer has is good. So precision levels have to be good and high, right? So we take time to actually launch in new geographies to ensure that.
Just the last bit in terms of your projection, the vision, medium to near term goals. You spoke about the application and you spoke about the area, the regions that you want
Yes.
to go. What is the target in the near term, in a couple of years? Where do you want to see yourself in terms of production, in terms of deploying, gadgets into different vehicles? What is that number?
So let me try and uh, put it in a different way, right? We expect adoption to continue to be exponential, right? Um, from 2019 to 2021, for 3 years, we actually witnessed 300% growth year on year, right? Since 21 onwards, for the past 3 years, we're growing at upwards of 100%, right? We expect and we intend that to maintain the 100% growth rate in terms of number of units deployed, at least for the next 3 to 4 years, right? Because, not only new markets, even in existing markets, adoptions are, growing exponentially. So that would be a fairly conservative estimate, if I were to say so.
And thank you so much for your time. You spoke about the markets, application, and configuration. And so there is no doubt in terms of application or configuration to be integrated in your,
Absolutely.
right from driver monitoring, behavior to fuel theft.
Just one last thing, this word monitoring sometimes is misused, right? And it gets misinterpreted. The intent is not to monitor as a big brother. The intent is to look at behavior and take corrective action on behavior, right? So monitoring is a loose term which is used, but it creates misconceptions. I just want to ensure that we understand that it's not surveillance monitoring, but it's more of behavior
So no,
improvements.
you touched upon the behavioral aspect of the driver,
Yes.
the human. What about the vehicle itself? You also have parameters designed in place to upgrade the vehicle monitoring, health monitoring, or preventive measures for the vehicles.
So our primary objective is safety. We are now going down the pyramid in terms of adding features which a traditional fleet management software would provide, right? Which then lead to fuel optimization, which then lead to route optimization, which lead to route monitoring, etc., etc. So we are integrating all of those into our single solution. But if you drive safer, you will have better operational efficiency on the vehicle as a byproduct, and that comes without saying.